Hi everyone, my name's Mark Deere, and in today's video I wanted to talk about, it's a follow-on from my last video, I want to talk about how an ounce of action is worth a ton of theory. So yeah, basically it doesn't need to be a long video, I just wanted to talk about that famous quote because it's easy to theorize about something, it's easy to read about something a lot, but to actually take a step and take action is difficult. But as soon as you take action, you have more information, you have data, on what you did. Was it good? Did it help? Also putting yourself out there, like for me, even doing these videos, it's like putting yourself out there. I've been behind the camera my whole life, right? For 20 years ago, 2005, I made my first feature-length film. It was called Maribor ... and it was a teen film, And I was behind the camera because I was interested in storytelling. And I've never really thought about wanting to be in front of the camera, putting myself out there. And with that film, the documentary I'm making is going to be called Confessions of a Failed Filmmaker. And it talks about, I made 5 feature films, 3 finished and 2 not finished over the last 20 years. And in that time, it's interesting how, you identify as a creative or whatever, but I never really had any major success. Like, we had distribution, that's why I stopped for a second, because we have one of our features, the third one, got distribution in the UK and USA. But I never got rich, never became a household name. And I never really, I guess, put myself out there to try and get success. Now, putting yourself out there is a different thing than taking action, because I took action on making films. I've taken action on a lot of things. And I just wanted to talk about how often you'll need X amount of theory to help you kind of get tipped over into taking some action. It's like, oh, I'm not good enough. Oh, I can't begin. Oh, I can't start. But honestly, it doesn't matter if you know nothing. The person who starts today is going to know more than you if they take action every day, versus you who reads theory, learns everything about it, but never actually takes any action. There was a quote in Good Will Hunting, which for years I never saw, but Matt Damon's character was really book smart, but he'd never done anything. Robin Williams' character calls him out on how he's never actually done anything practical. And this is the same thing that I'm talking about. So like you can, having a lot of theoretical knowledge can give you a confidence inside of you, but it's a false confidence. Or it's not a false confidence, but it's not the same level of power or the same amount of, it doesn't carry the same weight, like the analogy we're talking about today, as having taken action, And me I worked for 11 years in video, so I've made over 1,000 TV ads and corporate videos when I used to work in film. The last 10 years I've been a teacher, so 10 years, I'm now an experienced senior teacher, it's called, in Queensland, Australia. And so, I'm experienced, and I went back and did a master's, so I've done a second master's degree in education. I already had a master's degree in film from when I was younger. So I have theoretical knowledge, but it's the time on task where you're taking action consistently, trying to improve, iterating, like I did this, oh, what worked about this, what didn't, when you reflect, okay, let's make that better. And years of refining your processes, like refining your active, actionable experience, practical experience. It carries so much more weight than just reading books and learning. Now, in a lot of my videos I've talked about, books I read a lot of books. We have thousands of books in my house. And if I can learn about something, I will. And I figure, usually for me, a book is a starting point, right? And I'll use a book to help me make a decision, like I'll read about something. Does this interest me enough to want to have a go? Or maybe I'll have a go and then be like, let me get a book and see if I can learn this on a deeper level. But it's really just to get more understanding to then take action. Now, I probably err more towards the side of theory. I'll get a lot of theory before taking action. Look at me with this YouTube channel. God, I've been sitting on YouTube. I made my first video 16 years ago. And it's only now, this year, that I finally started actually taking action on having a YouTube channel, But, and it's because I have leave from work. I've had a few months off work, so I have time every day to come out and shoot videos. But my wife, by comparison, she's an author, and she will always take action. It's interesting watching her, because I'll recommend a book to her, a non-fiction book, like, oh, you should read this book, it'll teach you about blah, blah, whatever. And she'll start reading, and she'll stop like 8 pages in, because she'll get some idea and go, oh, great, and then she'll go take action. She'll always take action first, And if she finds a new idea, she'll action that idea to get experience. So she's probably better at this than me, much better at this than me. And that's the thing, I'm the opposite. I'll take action on something and then read all the theory so that I can improve quicker. That's what I'll tell myself. And I do think, there's a point of diminishing returns, It's like theory is very useful because it will help you get places quicker. Like, look, you get a book, that's the ideas of someone's brain, and they might have spent a lifetime learning something. If they share their lifetime's learnings, right, you can take that instead of having to try and figure everything out yourself, right? Whereas, here's the thing. As a teacher, I can say this too, because I see it every day. I will often give, and like even this video, I'll give some students some piece of unsolicited advice, I'll say, oh my God, you need to blah, blah, blah. Or I'll be teaching film, because I am a film teacher. I'm on long service leave from being a film teacher for 10 years. And I'll talk about something to help the students make a better film, like blah, blah, blah. But they're not ready for the advice. So the advice just falls on deaf ears. And it's the same thing. You could read a book by some master of whatever topic it is that you're learning about. You know, say the greatest entrepreneur in the world, or the greatest baker in the world, or the greatest whatever, you know, I don't know, musician, composer in the world, like whatever they are. You can read their book, but if you're not ready for that advice, you know, it's going to fall on deaf ears, and, you know, you're kind of wasting your time with the theory because only tiny nuggets of it are going to get through to you. And so once you see that nugget, you're probably better off being like my wife Candice and just taking action, because that's what you needed. To be like, if theory enables you to take more action, that's what you should do. One more idea before I go today. Often with my students, because I'm a media teacher, a film teacher, I have to both teach media studies, which is the study of films and you know, what other filmmakers have done, and content creation and everything to do with the media, or like moving image media, and the practical side of actual film making animations and film, and you know, things in the practical space. And I was always only really interested in this. I just wanted to make things. I wanted to make movies, make creative tasks, you know, like whatever we make. This I always thought was kind of a bit of a wank, frankly. Like I thought it was like basically like just people who get really into media studies. I often would say like, oh, this is just mental masturbation. You know, why are you doing this? It's not helpful. Just doing it for its own sake. I like analysing films to feed your ability to make something. And it's funny, I've softened over the years, and I understand now why some people, it's just their hobby. They like watching movies and shows and breaking them down and trying to understand where somebody made meaning. But for me, often it's like a lot of the time the filmmakers don't know the meaning they're baking into the products. That comes, the audience decide that later, you know, and that's like me as a creator. Like there's meaning in a lot of my films I see now, but I didn't put that in there intentionally, you know. So anyway, whole other video. But the way that studying films feeds filmmaking. If all you do is make films, you will improve. But by studying films, you can learn, you know, it just needs to not become that you get obsessed with just studying films. You want to do this to feed your filmmaking or whatever. You know, read novels all day, great. But if you're reading novels all day, you're a reader. If you're a writer, you can read novels, but then analyze the sentence structure. Use this person's, you know, mode of voice to influence your voice, you know. Same thing with dance. You can go to the ballet every night. You know, theatre, you can go watch plays every week because you've got a membership. But if you're not in plays or putting on plays or writing plays, whatever it is you do, like it's the taking action that's gonna feed your soul, I think. And that's the thing I'll finish on today. And that's what I wanted to get to, talking about those two things, is I often say to students, doing this is good, and a good film can affect you. You know, a good film can make you, and a good piece of art, you know, can make you cry or laugh or feel emotion, you know. But making something that can make someone cry or laugh or feel something, that is food for the soul. And that's what fills you up, you know. This is what gets me out of bed in the morning. This is why I love creativity so much, because every human has creativity in them. And when people squander it, it makes me sad, you know. That cloud just went over the sun. I'm taking that as an ominous sign. You need to be more creative. Everyone needs to use that gift of creativity to fill their soul up, feel good about themselves, and you just love life. Everything's richer. Like, look at this beautiful view we got behind us today, you know. It's everything is richer when you create. And I feel like, you know, somebody had to design this. I don't think this waterfall was naturally here, you know. So, yeah, I think action is what you want to be doing. Action is worth so much more than theory. An ounce of action, ton of theory. That'll do us for today. Thanks for watching. It was a bit ranty, but I just had to make another video in front of this beautiful waterfall. So thanks for watching, everyone. As I said, I'm making 100 videos in 100 days up till the 31st of December 2025. So we've got another 60 videos to go. I'm very excited to see what comes over the next 60 days. I'm kind of just winging it as I go every day. So come along for the journey with me. If you haven't already subscribed, I'd love it if you would. If you haven't commented on today's video, if you have an opinion, put it in the comments. I hope I didn't offend anyone by saying that I think that just analysing media studies isn't worthwhile, because I've grown up a bit. You know, I was much more narrow-minded when I was 33 getting started in teaching. In my 20s, I had no time for just film analysis for its own sake. But these days, I kind of think everyone do whatever you want to do. It's not worth spreading negativity or hate, so that probably sounded negative, but I'm not being negative. It's just how I've evolved to learn, like, you don't just have to watch films to feed your ability to make films. Look at me disclaiming what I did. I don't know, I'm being politically correct. It's not that, it's just it's contentious, you know, and I don't want to make anyone angry. I want to make you feel good. So anyway, good video. I'll see everyone in the next one.